Okay, so I know the playoffs are starting literally like now, so this might not get the most attention, but that's okay, because there still are some other stories that I do think are noteworthy to talk about when it comes to the eliminated teams doing their postseason availabilities and finalizing their 2021-2022s. Even though we might have ourselves some more things to talk about with the playoff teams, results in the games, I want to talk about what happens in Toronto, Tampa. I want to talk about the stories from all around the NHL when they inevitably do pop up, because that's what the playoffs does to fans in the hockey league. But despite all those inevitable stories, there still are some things I wanted to talk about very specifically with the Winnipeg Jets that I do think are worth mentioning. Now, I will say that this video is more likely making something out of nothing. I don't really know if this story that we're going to be talking about is actually a big deal, but I do feel this entire idea is potent enough to make a video about it, which is where this entire commentary comes from. So if you feel that this video doesn't really accomplish anything, it doesn't really add anything to the discussion, it doesn't even make a discussion, then feel free to click off unsubscribe and let me know in the comments how much I suck at this whole YouTube thing. But either way, we're talking about Winnipeg Jets forward Mark Scheifele once again, because it's been chronicled over the past few months, just the overall media and fan base reception to him and his game, the fact that he had a quote-unquote down year, despite the fact that he actually produced pretty well. If you go over to Mark Scheifele, and we actually have discussed this a lot before, so I apologize if anybody is kind of fed up with seeing the Scheifele stats and all that, but Mark Scheifele this season in the 82-game sample, he didn't play the full 82-game sample, unfortunately. He missed out on the few games at the beginning because he was suspended. He missed out on the few games afterwards. He had 70 points in 67 games, so over a point per game, almost a 30-goal guy. Really not a bad season in terms of the points. But he was a minus 17, and it was quick to point out by many people in my comment section in previous videos that Scheifele was having somewhat of a down year in terms of his overall performance. Not because he wasn't scoring points, but because he just wasn't playing as well as people thought he could be. This is where we started to see a lack of intensity and a lack of a physical edge really start to present itself as the year went on. As Scheifele would stop getting in the board battles, he would stop exhibiting himself when the opposition had the puck, and it was really noteworthy, so much to the point that we had media articles written about it, talking about his down year, talking about how Scheifele can be better. It's just, this season was somewhat of a bad one for a player on a bad team that was going out there and not playing his best. Now, when it comes to the Jets being a bad team, I say that very tongue-in-cheek. This is a team that has a lot of talent. They've got a lot of good scorers. They've got some good players that know how to make plays and they know how to score goals. It's just, the consistency with the Jets was obsolete. You could not see this game go out there and string together wins in a proper way in order to make the playoffs, and the fans started to lose confidence in them because of it. You saw the news earlier today that the Jets are going to go out there and try to search for a new head coach. Their entire coaching staff is going to get canned, because it wasn't really a Paul Maurice thing, it was more of a team thing, where the team just wouldn't really perform as well as they could on a night-to-night basis. Then you have yourselves what was said by Paul Stastny in the postseason availability today. Today? No, yesterday. Now, based off of what I've been seeing from Jets fans over the past few months, Paul Stastny does not have that same level of criticism that Mark Scheifele has, partly because Stastny plays an honest game. Even though he's not a better hockey player per se than Mark Scheifele, he is still a good enough player where you see him go out there, you see him play the way he does, and you say, yeah, that's a good leader right there. And he had himself some comments to say when it comes to the culture problem of the Winnipeg Jets. He's going out there alongside of Blake Wheeler, and the question that is thrown Wheeler's way actually ends up in Stastny interrupting and speaking his mind about the entire thing. The video will be linked in the description, but Joe Pasusi says when it comes to that entire answer, once again, Paul Stastny speaks his mind about what is wrong with the Jets. While he never mentioned any names, I can't help but think he's talking about Mark Scheifele. We've got to be held accountable. Whether it's player on player, we've got to have more respect for each other. When you don't have that, when you don't care about the teammate next to you potentially, and you just care about what you're doing or certain individual things, that starts bleeding into the game. He then brings up an example of a player from Vancouver whom he says Bruce Boudreau called out after having a poor showing. That player then happened to do really well after Boudreau called the player out, and Stastny said it's things like that, being held accountable by other players in the room and by coaches. It sucks sometimes, but it's necessary to allow growth and forward thinking amongst a group of players on a hockey team. Stastny was very praised for what he said here and the entire idea he was trying to provide. And then you have yourselves Mark Scheifele, who had himself another interview, also in the postseason setting. And in this 41-second video, Mark was asked, "What do you need to hear from the management tomorrow in your exit interview?" And the entire answer he gave was, "I have a lot to improve on, but I like how I'm able to play. I like the nature of my body right now. I think I'm improving. I'm only getting better. I know I'm going to be better next year than I was this year. I just need to know where the team is going and all that." And then he says that he needs to know what the changes in the team's direction are going to be, whatever moves are made or what the path is for the Winnipeg Jets. And then he also says he needs to think about his own career and what's going to be best for him and how he needs to talk to his agents and his family and decide what is best for himself. And, I mean, the video is titled, "That's a Whole Whack of Me, My I, Me, My I, E." And a lot of people were replying to this video saying similar things. It's kind of funny how Paul Stastny, just a few questions ago, was talking about accountability, how players need to acknowledge that sometimes we're not perfect and you need to go out there and be okay with calling out other guys and being held accountable with your play. And then you have Mark Scheifele saying, "Oh yeah, me, I. Now, maybe this video is completely taken out of context. Maybe this entire thing is just me making something out of nothing, but the reaction that I've seen from the Winnipeg Jets fanbase over the past year when it comes to Mark Scheifele and the way he's been playing and the way his future aligns with the Winnipeg Jets, because the guy is making $6.125 million with a modified no trade till the end of 2024, because of the reaction and everything that I've seen, I felt compelled to make this video because I do think that this might be just another one of these little tickets that adds to that conversation. So if you think that this actually means something, that Paul Stastny is talking about accountability, and some people in the media are saying, "Yeah, why do I feel like Stastny's talking about Scheifele?" And then you see Scheifele's answer of him only talking about himself, not saying anything about, the team, the direction, we gotta be there for each other, and I gotta improve so that this team is better, and so that I can help the team make a better direction, path, and all that stuff. It's, I feel like I'm really confident about my game. I feel like I'm very strong. I feel like I'm gonna be better next year. I just gotta talk to the team. I gotta know the direction so I can decide what's best for myself, etc., etc., etc. Am I a bad person, or a bad YouTuber, or a bad video content creator for making a video about this? That's ultimately what I want to know in the comment section below, and I also want to know in the comments what your thoughts are on this entire Scheifele-Stastny thing, because, I mean, this video has been made pretty much because of 2 exit interviews. That's not really a big deal, but at the end of the day, the content and the feelings behind the words, I feel, are more important than meets the eye. So I want you to tell me in the comments if you've read between the lines. Do you see something similar that I'm seeing here? Maybe in a subliminal way, Stastny is calling out Scheifele, and maybe Scheifele is examining what it is that Stastny is calling out specifically about his personality in the media exit interviews. Do you think this spells future doom and gloom for the Jets and what their future holds for some of the players that we've discussed? Obviously, I've seen a lot of Jets fans say they want to keep Stastny, but who really knows? Stastny's going out there with a contract that expires this season after posting up a 45-point campaign, and the future as to what he holds is really up in the air. So, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. Playoffs start right now, so we might make a video talking about what happens in Toronto, Tampa, or whatever, because I'm going to be watching that game. And bye.